Okay, so third time lucky. This is the third time that I've recorded this video after 2 times of embedding this video and the computer has crashed. Happy days. Okay, so we've looked at, what have we looked at? String length, finding out how many characters are in a string. Okay, that's great. Another really useful tool is to be able to find a substring of a string. So a substring could be a 3 characters of a string, whether it's the midpoint, the end point, the beginning point, or it could just be one particular character. Now in this video, I'm going to show you what that looks like in pseudocode, but I'm also going to show you what it looks like in Python, and they are very different, and you need to know both. So taking a look here, I've got a string. And remember, a string is just a list of characters. So I've got hello world, and the computer will see that as HELLO space WORLD. Okay. Now, in order to know how many are in there or whereabouts a particular character is, it indexes these. So it sees it as a list of characters, each with a reference or an index. So these are what we call, the actual characters are called the elements. And then down here you can see I've written their indices. Now in programming, computing, whatever, anything to do with a computer, we start counting at 0, always. So the first element is 0, then the second is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The white space is still stored in memory as a character, even though we can't see it. W is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and there we go. So if I wanted, for example, just to find the character that is at position 3, I'd go 0, 1, 2, 3, and that would be L. If I wanted to find the character that's at position 7, I'd go all the way to 7, and that would be O. If I wanted to find a substring, for example, so I wanted to find 3 characters from the start of the string, I'd start at position 0 and say, what are the first 3? 1, 2, 3. So let's take a look at what that looks like in pseudocode. In pseudocode, you would use a keyword which represents a function, either sub or substring. Now, because there's no actual standardization for pseudocode, you could see either, okay? But looking at what goes inside it, you can, even if you've not seen it, it's slightly different, you would recognize what that means easily. So I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing that. So we've got sub. I could pass it directly the string like this, or if I had saved hello world into a variable, let's call that variable greeting. If I'd assigned greeting to hello world like this, then I could pass it the reference to the variable. Same thing. So I give it the string, whether that's inside the variable or a raw string there. And then the next argument, the next thing I need to give it is the position to start at, which is position 0. And then it needs one more argument, and that's how many characters to return. So let's just say I want the first 3. I put the character 3 in. And both of these, regardless of whether I sent it the raw string or a variable that is assigned to a string, this would return HEL, and so would this. So I could play around with this. I could say, okay, instead give me the first 5, and then this one would return HELLO. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I said to this one, actually start at position 2 and return 6, it would start at position 2, which is L, and then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because remember, the space is still a character. If I wanted just to return 1 character, I could say start at position 6 and just take 1 character, please, and then that would return W. So that's what it looks like in pseudocode. Let's take a look at what it looks like in Python, which is slightly different. I am going to just get rid of this and this because that's what I had open from last time, and put back what we would expect to see here. So I have got a variable that's been assigned a string called secret word. It's been assigned Fulston manner, and then I've used the wrong bracket there. And I've got two print statements. Now the print statements aren't really needed unless we don't want to see what it's returned. So it will work without it, but by using the print statement it means that it's going to print to the screen so I can see that it's working. You can see there is absolutely no call to a function here. There's no sub or substring or any other function of any other name. Instead, the way that Python stores strings is it stores them as a list of characters. So it uses the list brackets, which are these square brackets here. And then it references them using two separate indices. Now we might have a look at these and say, oh, I know what that's doing. That's starting at 0 and taking the first 3 characters. And if I did it with secret word, it would do the same. Let's run it and find out whether we're right. So we're looking right down here. Ignore all of this because I've done this video a couple of times, so they're the ones that I've done before. In fact, actually, I'm going to close this and then run it and open it so we've got a nice blank one we can just focus on here. Full. Ah, great, that's done exactly what I expected it to do. Good. So it started at 0 and taken 3. So that means I could start at 2 and take 3, doesn't it? Let's run that. So it's going to, oh, it didn't. L. Doesn't make any sense. Should start 0, 1, 2 and take 3. Should be LST, but it's just L. Why has that done that? The reason why it's done that is because it doesn't work in the same way that pseudocode would suggest. It doesn't take arguments. This isn't a function. This is referencing indices. And this is saying start at 2. This is the starting point. But stop at this. So it's whatever is in between. So start at this, stop at that index. Start at this index, stop at that index. So this one appeared to work until we started playing around with it. So that is something that you need to remember in Python. It's what's in between these. So if I did 2, 2, for example, it would print nothing because there's nothing in between 2, 2. It's blank. But it's nice because if I just wanted to print just 2, I can. Just tell me what's at position number 2. 0, 1, 2 is an L. If I wanted it to print the last, I could do -1. R. If I wanted it to say start at position, let's find out, let's print manner, for example. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, start position 7 and print up to, but not including 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, start at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and it will print everything in between. Oh, 12. I'm hoping this works. Let's see. Yeah, so it's manner. So I just miscounted. So start at 7, end, but don't include 12. And you can see then it's everything in between. So in Python, it's when to start and when to end, and it prints everything in between those two ranges almost. And you can play around with it. You can say print the last 5 characters here. So -5, you have to put the colon in. So basically that's the starting point. Start at -5. So it would then go back 5. It prints manner. Both of those print manner. So I'm starting and ending, or starting at a minus point. So it's quite good in the way that it does it, but it doesn't really relate to pseudocode. The best way of learning this is just to practice it in code. You need to be able to identify both. Before you go though, just to put it into context as to why this would be interesting, the reason why I've used secret word is we've looked at the use of passwords, for example. Well, two-factor authentication, which we'll learn a little bit more about when we come up to that topic of network security, is a way that we can then ask our users to enter in, say, a first, third and fifth letter of a secret word. Well, we wouldn't be able to do that if the computer couldn't recognise what the first, third or fifth letter was. So by using substrings, that is one way that we can identify a particular character in the string, or whether a character exists in a string and things like that. So stop this video, continue with the tasks on substrings, and then once you've done that you can move on.